Imagine if we went back in time and gave an NFL team a cheat sheet for the draft, telling them exactly who the best players are in the position they are drafting for the first and second rounds, occasionally giving them a little nudge when it comes to free agency and who they shouldn't let go. What would those teams look like now if they were able to always play the draft perfectly? That's what I'm here to try and answer. Today we look at the Raiders, and this episode comes with two key parts. One, we're going to be cheating a little bit, but it's a fun one for fun. We'll back it up with something more realistic. And there's going to be a little bit of a mini rant at Madden because it comes with the territory. But let's start building this team. Left tackle, of course, Donald Penn, Kelechi Osemele at left guard, Rodney Hudson at center, Gabe Jackson at right guard, and Austin Howard at right tackle. Now, if you know anything about the Raiders draft over the last 5 years, you know we have not mentioned any picks yet, but there have been 2 picks. So let's start in 2011 with the 48th overall pick. The Raiders selected Steven Wisniewski at center. That was a not bad pick. Jason Kelce, however, probably a better pick. And then in 2013, with the 42nd overall pick, the Raiders selected Menelik Watson, and David Bakhtiari would have been the best tackle available there. Now I've set it up like this. Now I'm going to set it up how I would probably have it. So here we go. I would keep basically everything the same. Hudson over Kelce purely because they've got this size thing going on over there in the middle of the line, and Kelce kind of changes that. And David Bakhtiari, I think, will do good enough for us at right tackle, and that would be the best team possible to build there. But even if we switch it up like this, Austin Howard may be the weakest link on this offensive line. But even still with that, you look at this line and the potential backups there. They've got themselves something, and they built most of that line through free agency, sniping talent that other people thought they could afford to let go. Now moving on to tight end, where we have a recent free agent signing. Jared Cook joins the Raiders, and with that we can move down to the wide receiver position. In 2015, with the 4th overall pick, the Raiders selected Amari Cooper at wide receiver. Of course, the correct pick. Our wide receiver number 2, Michael Crabtree, and then for our 3rd wide receiver, we're going to have him here just for the sake of showing him off as a new free agent signing. Cordarrelle Patterson will be interesting to see if the Raiders really do make use of him as a wide receiver. And now we go on to the fullback position with Jameis Olawale, and then the quarterback. In 2014, with the 36th overall pick, the Raiders selected Derek Carr, and now we've been putting Derek Carr in pretty much every single team that drafted a quarterback before him in 2014. Of course, he's the correct pick. And now onto the running back. You could have Jalen Richard, DeAndre Washington, but the guy I'm going for, Marshawn Lynch. Let's pretend for a second that Marshawn Lynch will join the Raiders. That is what this team would look like. It makes a huge difference to them here. That is the cheat we've got today. Of course, there is nothing solid saying he will join the Raiders. He is still under contract with the Seahawks. However, if there is one team that I would think is most likely to pull off something like this, it is the Raiders, who of course did pretty much exactly the same thing with Carson Palmer, signed him out of retirement, had to trade with the Bengals for him. Now, of course, that move didn't work out quite as they wished, but we know the Raiders are a team that were willing to make a move like this. Now, the Palmer situation was a little bit different. Carson Palmer retired so that he could join another team. Marshawn Lynch legitimately retired and may now be having second thoughts. Anyway, this is the Raiders offense. It's basically, well, it's not basically, it is the Raiders offense. There are no changes here. You could make the offensive line slightly better, and it's already very good. The tight end, they brought in themselves. The receivers, they brought in themselves. There are no changes here. Despite having made 4 picks on the offense, no changes whatsoever, and that is why the Raiders are the hot young team at the moment, up and coming. And you can see why just from the offense, and now we move on to the defense. So, starting of course with the free safety, Reggie Nelson, one of those free agent signings that did get started a little bit slowly, but it all ended up alright in the end. Moving over to strong safety, we've got Kyle Joseph, and now we move on to the linebackers. Left outside linebacker, Bruce Irvin, Perry Riley Jr. at middle linebacker, and free agent signing Jelani Jenkins at right outside linebacker to replace the free agent loss of Malcolm Smith. Now onto the cornerbacks, and for our first cornerback in 2013, with the 12th overall pick, the Raiders selected DJ Hayden. Now 2013, you could have made many correct picks such as Desmond Trufant, Xavier Rhodes, Darius Slay, and Xavier Rhodes is the man we're going with. For our other cornerback, Sean Smith will be taking this position, and that means our nickel cornerback, of course, is David Amerson. Of course, he's there because he probably, out of all these guys, well, him and Xavier Rhodes probably excel in the nickel position. Sean Smith probably better off staying outside. Now we move on to the defensive line. Our first defensive tackle, Justin Ellis, and our main guy there, Dan Williams. Then for the right end position in 2015, with the 35th overall pick, the Raiders selected Mario Edwards Jr. That, of course, is a not bad pick, and I was tempted to keep him in here, but Danielle Hunter, we've been swapping him with so many people anyway, why not keep the streak going? I think that may have just ended up being a better pick, especially if we are playing a hardcore 4-3 here, and that, of course, means at left end, contrary to anything that Madden seems to believe about the reality of the Raiders football team, we have Khalil Mack, who, of course, in Madden's mind is a left outside linebacker. Now, if we throw Mario Edwards Jr. up here, we can see that his chemistry is 3-4. Dan Williams' chemistry is 3-4. Khalil Mack, of course, is an outside linebacker. We quickly head over to the official unofficial depth chart of the Raiders. We go over to the defense, and we can see here, defensive end, defensive tackle, nose tackle, defensive end. They play a base 4-3. They may be a hybrid front, sure, but they are a 4-3 team. Khalil Mack is a defensive end. That is just something that has annoyed me to no end with Ultimate Team. Now, Khalil Mack obviously plays between the two positions, and I already had this entire beef with the game when we looked at, when they released the top 5 in each position or whatever. But I just don't understand how they make 55 versions of Khalil Mack's card and every single one of them is a left outside linebacker. Maybe it's for balance on Ultimate Team. Maybe they know people prefer to use him as an outside linebacker rather than an end. But that is it. That is my beef with Madden on that case. And just look at this Raiders team. And of course, we already know what the aspirations here are for the Raiders. I mean, their offense isn't even different. Their defense is slightly different, but only really making good better. And as I like to ask questions at the end of these, I guess the question is it a matter of if, or is it rather just a matter of when these Raiders do go to the Super Bowl?